wasn't alone in seeing the value in film factories. While he was fighting Edison's Motion Picture Trust in New York and making his first films in Fort Lee, New Jersey, Carl Laemmle had a grand vision for the ultimate movie studio.
When they were deciding what to name the studio, it happened that my uncle was looking out the window and he saw this truck go by, Universal advertising something, plumbing or whatever it was, and he said, I've got it. He said, it'll be called Universal.
By 1915, Laemmle didn't need to be convinced that the future of filmmaking was in Los Angeles. He acquired 230 acres in the sparsely populated San Fernando Valley and started making plans.
His dream was to build a city for the sole purpose of making movies. And that's what he really did. And he built Universal City. He had everything that a city has. He had a mayor, a fire chief, a hospital, a police department, of course, and a school. And that was the way they did it. And it was wonderful.
With typical Hollywood hoopla, Universal City had a gala opening on March 15, 1915.
This was a big deal. There was a sort of circus atmosphere around it, where trains came from all over the country, and these trains would have large banners on them saying, we are heading for the opening of Universal City, California, the biggest film-producing mecca in the world. They invited Thomas Edison, Buffalo Bill, Annie Oakley, William Jennings Bryan.
Now 48, Carl Laemmle had come a long way from his humble German childhood. He was the master of his own movie-making domain, but never lost his immigrant's ties to family.
He would give almost every relative some kind of job there. That's how he eventually was called Uncle Carl. Everybody called him Uncle Carl, whether they were relative or not. He was their uncle.
Eager to maximize his profits, Laemmle opened his new studio to tourists and sold 25-cent box lunches as visitors watched the action on the sets. Laemmle also took the factory model to heart. Early Universal movies were manufactured to reach a large audience as quickly and cheaply as possible. All this speed and economy meant that the studio could be a great training ground. One fledgling director, who learned under Laemmle's demanding schedules and family-oriented hiring practices, was the son of Irish immigrants. He was chosen to be a director, it was said, because he could shout loud. His name was John Ford.